share one bit of information that I had from last round. I was walking around and Jakub came up to me just excited, tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, our deck is broken. So he's feeling great about mono blue here and just,
I love it.
you know, is really looking to sail into the sunset and let these mono blue spirits really carry him into Sunday.
You told me as well that the only losses that these mono blue decks have had is to each other. So, you know, just team kills going on.
Yeah, I think there was, you know, a little bit. We did see Reed fall to Abzan Greasefang, but other than that, yeah, there's really been just a mono blue-a-thon so far in this Explorer territory.
Oh, goodness me. Indeed, we've got Ascendant Spirit on the battlefield here for Jakub Tóth. Gonna get him for 1 point of damage. He's a decent-looking hand thus far. Lofty Denial will be able to keep Julian Wellman in check as he tries to get his game plan underway. Now, remember, in the last round, we saw Julian. Things didn't go as planned. Plan A, Transmogrify a token into a big old Titan. That didn't happen. So what do you think his adjustment for his game plan is going to be in this round?
Yeah, so Julian did lose to that Rakdos Sacrifice deck right away. Last round, at least, you know, evened it up, did beat one of the Rakdos decks. Now this is a completely different matchup. You got to really change what you're trying to do. You know, it's very unlikely that you're able to just go turn 2, creature, Transmogrify it, get Titan into play, because there is so many counter spells. So these games are going to look a lot more like Julian just trying to time his spells correctly, maybe try to double spell so that Jakub doesn't have the ability to just counter one big spell each turn. And another card that I want to highlight, something that we're seeing in Julian's hand, is those Shark Typhoons. The uncounterable way to flash in a flying blocker to ambush some of these other blue spirits is going to be a really big player in this matchup.
Yeah, if not used to ambush a flyer, like you mentioned, a target for Transmogrify potentially. So Jakub's going to be very aware that that is one of the potential outs here for Julian to run away with this game. As the turn's just going to be passed back, nothing happening right now. Julian has the Omen of the Sea in hand. Good Shark Typhoon for 0, but we don't want to see that happening.
Don't recommend it.
No. I mean, it's the littlest shark, but it kind of has to survive too. So
the one thing we did see here from Julian was just past the turn, and you gave a good head nod, like, yes. Jakub didn't do anything on turn 2, didn't even use his mana to upgrade the Ascendant Spirit, and this is playing around different removal spells. It just so happened Julian didn't have it, so that worked out in his favor there a little bit.
Yeah, Ascendant Spirit, certainly something that keeps on giving the longer it sticks around on this battlefield. Omen of the Sea flashed in here for Julian. Let's take a look. Ski scries twice, draws a card. Oh, hey, Titan, get thee hence, sir. Back to the bottom of the library you go. Don't want to see you just yet.
Yeah, you want to see that card, but in a much different fashion. You want to be flashing it in with that card, the namesake card, Transmogrify.
Yep. Make disappear the draw off the top here for Julian, so a little bit of reactive permission for him here now as well. As not too much proactive happening on this turn. Likely to see a Shark Typhoon cycled in on the end step.
Yeah, Shark Typhoon maybe just holding up Make Disappear. You also have the option for Yorion. Not the best for Yorion. You're definitely just going to discard then as well. And that is just really letting Jakub know that your hand is not very good. And might see a Make Disappear, because you can't just let these spirits go over and over. And most of Jakub's game plan with these mono blue spirits is acting on Julian's end step. So if you're trying to hold Make Disappear for your opponent's main phase next turn, well, you're not going to have a great time at all.
Yeah, these mono blue decks, they very much enjoy your end step. Which is becoming, you know, from their position, our end step.
Yeah.
So let's move to our end step, where I will flash in this Rattle Chains.
Yeah, my main phase from the mono blue side, that's where I put one island into play and attack and say go.
So this is going to be enough for Make Disappear to be fired off by Julian Wellman. Rattle Chains won't enter the battlefield, so just the 2 creatures left here before Jakub finds another Mausoleum Wanderer. And does have land number 4. So you were talking about being able to cast multiple spells in one go for Julian. You know, that would be the way to just work through whatever Jakub's doing. And one of the ways that could benefit Julian is if the lands stop coming for Jakub. You know, so he doesn't have that much of an option in terms of countering spells. But so far, on track, things looking pretty good here for Mono Blue.
Exactly. And, you know, we are going to start to see next turn is that 4th land. So Shark Typhoon, the uncounterable spell, 2 Lawfully Denials. Great. You know, absolutely great cards right now. But if you're just attacking in with 3 1/1s and you flash in a 2/2, all of a sudden that is a removal spell plus you draw a card. You know, anytime you get a 2-for-1 off your card, great. Shark Typhoon is even better because it leaves around a 2/2 Shark that will be playing defense not only for a Transmogrify to hopefully put a Titan of Industry into play, but also just to kind of stonewall some of these spirits without finding something like a Supreme Phantom or a Curious Obsession or a Petty Theft to be able to force damage through.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, Mono Blue, or blue in general, is like, you know, for countering stuff, drawing stuff, and bouncing stuff.
Yes.
There's only one way to bounce a creature or a permanent in this list, and that is the 1 copy of the Brazen Borrower. So the Shark could definitely, you know, flex his jaws on these spirits.
Yeah, exactly. You got a couple Shackle Geists as well, which end up being, you know, coming in handy for matchups like Greasefang when you want to like tap Parhelion down before it attacks. Not as great in this matchup, but for Shark Typhoons, it does have some applications.
Sure does, as we're going to see Julian go through to the end step. Just trying to shape his hand here nicely. Has the Luca, has 2 Transmogrify, and will most likely have a Shark Typhoon on the next attack phase here for Jakub.
So right now, Jakub is just considering, do I want to level this Ascendant Spirit or not? Trying to play around some kind of spell that can be cast at instant speed.
Perhaps a Fire Prophecy or...
Yeah, Fire Prophecy, something like that, so you can prevent it, but makes sense. You got to kind of do something, otherwise these Shark Typhoons are just going to be great flash ambush blockers.
Yeah. Flash ambush? Flambush?
Flambush blockers, yep, that's the technical term for it, absolutely.
Like a flying trampler is a flampler?
Yes. I need to read your dictionary you're reading from.
Oh boy. Alrighty, so combat times coming. Are we going to see another Ascendant Spirit upgrade here? I don't think so at this point.
Probably not, but now it comes down to, can Jakub attack with these Mausoleum Wanderers? No Shark Typhoons are in the list, so this is a very smart attack, making sure Shark Typhoon doesn't ambush the situation. And now we're going to see the situation of, does Julian want to cycle this Shark at all? Or do you want to wait till next turn when you can make it a 3/3 to maybe block this Ascendant Spirit a little bit more profitably? But the one thing with the Ascendant Spirit is it keeps getting larger the more time you get. You can level it up with 3 to that 4/4.
It's not really a race that he can win, right? So I think he's more incentivized to fire this off.
Yep.
Hope to find perhaps a Spell Pierce if available to him in the main deck.
Yeah, Spell Pierce would be okay, but just, okay, now Spell Pierce would be insane. If you go for this right now, this is playing around that Fire Prophecy, but you said it exactly right. If Julian can find Spell Pierce right now and go for Transmogrify on this, it's going to be quite good. I guess the Mausoleum Wanderers can still get it. Yeah. Biggest draw there in the deck, though, Shark Typhoon. Whenever you can chain those together against this blue deck, that is exactly what you want to be doing.
Ascendant Spirit now, the 4/4 flyer. So Julian has to take control of the skies here once again, or find a way to get these creatures off the battlefield. The Spirit is out of Fire Prophecy range.
Yep, and now the next level, so to speak, on the Ascendant Spirit, kind of doing its best Figure of Destiny impression for anybody who used to play that powerful creature. Now it is just going to be putting 2 counters on it each time and drawing a card whenever it deals damage.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, pretty strong.
But that is a 4-mana commitment, which at this point, Jakub's not going to be too happy to invest.
Not going to be too happy about right now, and I did just see kind of a team battle. Jakub's teammates, Eli Cassis and Jim Davis, playing last round, and these Ascendant Spirits were up to like 9/9s, you know, because they were just staring at each other's flying battlefield. So these things can get very large when the games go extremely long.
The gift that keeps on giving. All right, so big things now here for Julian Wellman. Not entirely sure about what to do in this position because there's 2 blue mana left open. This deck runs plenty of counter spells, so he's probably just thinking at this point, you know, okay, what am I happy to lose? until I get what I need to be able to resolve something of importance.
Yeah, the real choice here is, do I start casting Transmogrify and Lucas because you have so many of them, or do you just keep going with the Shark plan, and trying to maybe double block with a 3/3 and a 2/2 Shark to this Ascendant Spirit, force that level up, and then maybe try to piece something together there? It's not very strong either, as you'd lose both the Sharks.
Yeah.
But it is a tough choice here, and just another reminder, they have everything on the line right now. This is that 9th win that is really putting you in that solid position to make that Sunday stage.
Yeah, top 4 finish. Both of these players would be ecstatic to lock up day number 3 here at the World Championship and not have to stress for the rest of the afternoon. They can take some downtime, get some more testing in with their teammates, that sort of thing. So there's a big advantage to just getting your wins in and chilling for the rest of the day.
Yeah, imagine when you get to 10 wins and you're playing a casual match of Magic just for fun.
Yeah,
like, you already locked it up.
Yeah.
Just playing a casual match with this beautiful scenery up behind us that is the World Championship stage.
All right, combat time. Ascendant Spirit delivering the beatdown here for Jakub Tóth on Mono Blue Spirits. Julian Wellman, who has had an excellent day 1 and 2 thus far, looking to try and get one back against this Mono Blue deck. Didn't have the best run of it in round number 9.
Yeah, exactly. And usually, Julian, especially for the large majority of the rounds that he's played so far, was on the other side, where he had the little blue creatures attacking and had a bunch of counter spells. Maybe getting a little taste of what he was doing yesterday to a bunch of players.
Yeah, and that's another important thing to remember, is that tomorrow it's back to standard. So Explore it, comes out to play for one day, and then, shelves the deck once again. So
exactly.
Even if the players weren't too happy with the decks that they chose today, like we know Julian wasn't, he's got to be pretty pumped to get back to the tempo deck tomorrow.
Yeah, if he makes it, that's the main thing. When I was talking to Julian earlier, and Julian was like, what, if I knew I was going to be 7-1, I would have played a more safe, consistent deck that wasn't something that would be so volatile, where you're going to have extremely good matchups.
Yeah.
And you're going to have extremely rougher matchups, kind of like this one. Not to say it's unwinnable or anything like that.
End step cycle Shark. There you go. As you mentioned, there's the 3/3, but not interested in the blocks there or forcing the level up of the Ascendant Spirit. Finds a stomping ground at the top of the library as well as a steam vents, and that's not great.
Now we're getting to the situation where, is it time to start firing off these Transmogrifies? You can have Fire Prophecy available as well. So Transmogrify plus Fire Prophecy, that would make a lot of sense for specifically this turn. Having 6 mana. Luca is another card that you could go for as well, and then just play a tap land if you want to be mana efficient. Really, no matter what the play is, unless you buy Yorion, a Lawfully Denial is going to more than likely counter it.
Yeah.
But the one advantage of Luca versus Transmogrify is the Mausoleum Wanderers doesn't interfere at all, since it is just spell-based for Mausoleum.
Yeah, only instants and sorceries with that pesky little critter. But even then, it still kind of feels like Jakub's just got this game almost on lockdown, It's just like, I'm delivering the beatdowns. I've got the biggest thing on the battlefield. I have the reaction spell, so you have to start doing something, or I'm just going to win.
Yep, exactly. And here is exactly what Jakub wants. Here is Lawfully Denial the Luca, throw some extra counters on Ascendant Spirit, knowing that Julian is tapped out, and then you just get to sit back and defend yourself with that last Lawfully Denial and try to win the game before these 2 Transmogrifies can be cast.
Yeah, at this point, Julian might be trying to get to the 8 mana where he can just double spell, double Transmogrify, but I don't know, at that point it might be too little too late, because these Sharks have to start doing some blocking here.
Exactly, and yeah, that is the magic number. Once you get to 8, this Lawfully Denial, even if you're only playing 1 Transmogrify, Lawfully Denial, when you do have the Spirit, is counter unless you pay 4, so you could at least pay for that, and then all eyes point right back at the Mausoleum Wanderers, and you're like, dang it, there's another problem I have to deal with.
Yeah, just so many taxing effects here. Lofty Denial, the Wanderers, and as well as this Ascendant Spirit that's just delivering a mountain of damage every single turn. It's a 6/6.
It is quite large, so now Faithless Haven being an option, and the kind of cute thing that we're seeing from Faithless Haven here is you're able to attack, and thanks to Vigilance with Faithless Haven, it is an option to be able to put more counters on the Ascendant Spirit after blockers as well. So attacking all means there's got to be some blocks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is just, you know, death otherwise for Julian Wellman. So Ascendant Spirit will be blocked by the 2/2. The 3/3 hangs around as the biggest creature, so one Wanderer off the battlefield, but Faceless Haven and the second Wanderer chip in and take Julian Wellman down to 4.
Gonna need to be a big draw from Julian here. I don't know what it can be.
Spell Pierce, does that help?
No, unfortunately, Jakub, you know, didn't really want to top deck a land, would have much rather top deck a spell, but as it stands, Jakub does have the ability to lawfully denial and pay for Spell Pierce.
Yeah, it's so rough. I mean, yeah, because he doesn't have the 4 mana to pay for the lofty denial at this point.
And there's still at least one Mausoleum Wanderer, which technically makes it 5 mana right now.
Yeah.
There is Fire Prophecy for the Faithless Haven. And then the 3/3 chump blocks the Ascendant Spirit to just stay alive on surface value here. And you can go for a Transmogrify as well, I mean, since you have 2. But here's the problem, is you are going to just be out of creatures. You got to chump block away your last creature. So if we do go for this, it gets countered. Fire Prophecy deals with Faithless Haven to just stay alive. Then Julian has to top deck a creature and hope Jakub doesn't top deck a counter spell as well. So, I mean, that is kind of a lot of pieces to the puzzle to help out here, but
man, this is such a rough break here for Julian. Just not able to find any of the accelerators, you know, none of the ramp. He's gonna go for it, yeah?
So I think that attack signifies I have to go for it, and not only do I have to go for it, it has to work.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd have this as a blocker. So if you have to go for it and you know it has to work, you might as well play perfectly, which is attacking and getting in your damage first.
Yeah.
I respect the play. It's not going to work, but I respect it.
I mean, that's a good signal for Jakub then. He's like, okay, cool. So you think you can pull it off, and I'm going to tell you no, unfortunately. And we're going to go to a game number 2 here very shortly in round number 11.
Yeah, I'd be terrified if I was Jakub. Like, oh, Julian's confident enough to attack here? Like, oh God. I'd be a little afraid.
He's fine. He's got lofty denial. All he has to do is say no. In response...
I have responses.
It's not the one that Julian wants to see. So that's going to be countered. Easy peasy, mac and cheesy. And you can see Julian a little bit disappointed there, but, you know, he had to have it. Spell Pierce available, but not going to cut it, unfortunately.
And here's the kind of bad news bears, Ailey, is Jakub's draw wasn't even that good. That is a lot of lands. 7 lands, 0 Curious Obsessions. The blue deck can do a lot worse than this, and this was not that close of a game.
No. I mean, Ascendant Spirit just absolutely unanswered here.
Yeah.
Ran away with the game. You know, like, Jakub didn't exactly have everything that he wanted for this game to do what it does best. But sometimes you just gotta turn dude sideways and smack your opponent.
Exactly. And
that's exactly what he did.
Yep.
All right, game number 2 here. Let's see what sideboard plans we can come up with. What do we do for Julian? We're gonna bring in those Hornet Queens once again.
That is what we saw last time with Carl, and now let's see if Julian can avoid the nightmare scenario that Carl ran into, and that's drawing the 2 Hornet Queens. Now, you do notice there's 3 Titan of Industries to 2 Hornet Queens, so if you do draw them, it's a little bit worse. You know, when you have 3, you have Fire Prophecy still, it's pretty easy to shuffle those back in, but as we saw earlier, Fire Prophecy gets countered, and then all of a sudden you can't put Hornet Queen back into your deck, can't hit Transmogrify. That becomes really tough, but Hornet Queen is the card that kind of just colds mono blue. There's just so many death touchers. It's really tough to get past. There's no removal. You know, you just have to shackle Geist away them, but you really just have to attack through it. Maybe put some work in with Spectral Sailor to just weigh out card advantage it. But yeah, Hornet Queen is going to be the card to look out for here from Julian's side.
I just really want to see Transmogrify go off just once.
I know.
We haven't seen it yet.
Even against the Rakdos deck, which is what these Transmogrify decks are trying to beat and should be beating, even then, these Mayhem Devils are really kind of dealing with it. So far, it hasn't looked amazing yet.
Yeah.
But small sample size is only round 3
sure.
here for Explorer. And Julian Wellman did pick up a pretty convincing win against Rakdos here on the second round of the day.
It's a couple more tweaks being made. Jakub's ready to rock and roll, as is Julian Wellman, so let's get into it. Game number 2 here of the World Championship in round 11. Let's see what the opening hands have for both of these players. So Julian on the play. All right, a Braid, Soulseer, Fire Prophecy, and a Shark. That's decent.
Not bad. That turn 2 Fire Prophecy is going to be excellent. Basically just kill anything you can, any target, because you will be able to at least shuffle away one of the cards or put it on the bottom and hopefully draw land number 3, but this hand still has its risks. If you don't get land number 3, you know, cycling Shark Typhoon for 0, that Shark doesn't live very long as a 0/0. And from Jakub, on the draw, a 1-lander, which can be completely fine because it does have that beautiful card that is really the reason the deck ticks at such a high level, and that's Curious Obsession, where if you can get that going and you kind of have, you know, an extremely strong draw of protecting it with Slip Out the Back.
Yeah.
Kind of awkward where if you were to target your creature with Curious Obsession, they go for a removal and then you slip it out the back, you don't get the Curious Obsession. So that is, you know, that is a cost. But you do also see the 2 Geistlight snares.
Don't forget about that cute little interaction.
Exactly. If you pair it with a creature plus Curious Obsession, that card does cost just 1 mana.
Yep.
So with 1 land, Jakub's hand is excellent. But without it, it's pretty slow.
Yeah, he's thinking long and hard about this. You know, does he think he'll find land number 2 to be able to go enchantment into Geistlight Snare? And he doesn't feel confident about it, but is unfortunately punished with another 1-lander.
And this one's much worse. You know, you have a lot of expensive spells, I definitely say in air quotes, because the whole deck costs 1 or 2. But you got a lot of 2-mana spells. You don't have Curious Obsession. I wouldn't be too shocked to see this 1 mulliganed as well, because even if you draw land number 2, it's just okay. But, I mean, defensible as well if you keep it, because mulling to 5 obviously is never fun.
No. But, you know, if there is a deck in the format that can survive a mull to 5, you gotta think it's this one, right?
Definitely. Definitely. This is a deck that you can aggressively mulligan down to 5, especially when you're on the play. If you mull to 5 and you have that dream start of 1 drop, you know, 2 lands, Curious Obsession with a Spell Pierce, it's like not a lot of hands beat that, even when your opponent has 7 cards.
So Mausoleum Wanderer is going to be the first thing on the battlefield. A second island was found here for Jakub. And like you mentioned, we're probably going to see whatever is on this board cost. So Mausoleum Wanderer will sack in response, but nothing really happens there.
That is an important interaction if Fire Prophecy would have been the target, because then you don't get to put a card on the bottom.
Yeah.
And right now, Julian doesn't have that land 3 that we were talking about, so if he doesn't draw land, maybe you cycle Shark Typhoon for 0. That doesn't feel very good.
I could also see the Fire Prophecy, perhaps, on whatever creatures run out here, but now there is the 3rd land and a Spell Pierce backup.
Yep. Super strong here. Land would be huge to be able to Fire Prophecy with Spell Pierce, and there it is!
There it is, indeed. Crackdown Pathway drawn at the top of the library, so we will be able to dig deeper into the library here with that Fire Prophecy, taking care of this creature as well as defending against an opposing Spell Pierce.
So we'll see if he wants to go for it right now, or wants to maybe try to get a Curious Obsession as well, try to get that 2 for 1.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice? Ascendant Spirit's going to swing in here. Just 1 point of damage. Will this be enough to elicit a response from Julian? Not yet. I'm thinking maybe he's going to go for the Shark on the end step.
Yeah, to just try to make sure and hit land number 4. You know, this is locked up for Transmogrify. Now I think we're going to see a lot of sequencing from Julian now that he has the Shark. If it gets Petty Theft right now, you kind of go back to the drawing board. But if we can get land number 4, it's going to be a lot of setup where Julian wants to try to kill Jakub's creatures on end step. And if it gets countered, great, Transmogrify time. If it doesn't, just maybe attack with Sharks and try to kill as many creatures from Jakub as possible.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Another counterspell being found. Mystical Dispute, excellent against a mono blue deck, as it just costs 1 Just one whole mana, Corey.
So many one-mana counter
one
unless you
manas.
pay 3
Yeah.
counter spells in this mono blue deck. Might as well play him in Julian's side too, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Good against this matchup, Ascendant Spirit now. Looks like it's going to get a bit of a level up. So, from Jakub's side of things, it also seems like, okay, I'm not going to commit too much to the board here. I'm not going to overextend. I'm just going to try and beat you with what I have on the board here.
Yep.
And now we're going to see a fight, potentially, if Julian fires off this Fire Prophecy over this creature.
Yeah, and really good patience for Julian. Julian could have did this last turn, but wanted to make sure to kind of time walk Jakub again and just say, okay, I want you to do nothing on your next turn.
Yeah.
Why do it now? I'll take one. No big deal. Use your life as a resource.
Yeah. So Spell Pierce fight, Fire Prophecy is going to resolve, and we'll get to put something back in the library. It's going to be Luca, as the copy of Transmogrify is in hand for Julian, and there is land number 4.
Okay, these are the games. This is kind of what this battlefield should look like on turn number 4 for the games where Julian wins. You know, this is definitely a better chance. Like if you got 3 creatures on Jakub's side and a couple counter spells in Jakub's hand, those games look basically unwinnable as long as some, the mono blue player doesn't make an egregious mistake. So, this is definitely more of a game, and we might easily see turn 5 Transmogrify with a Mystical Dispute backup and go for it from there.
Yeah. I doubt we'll see Transmogrify fired off now.
No.
Because 4 open mana, yeah, that's a little terrifying, but let's see. We could be very wrong, but nope. We're just going to go for Yorion Sky Nomad brought to hand. Patience here from Julian. Wants to be able to resolve that Transmogrify and have the Mystical Dispute as a backup. So Rattle Chains as well as the Brazen Borrower in hand here for Jakub.
You saw the little eye raise from Jakub, like, ooh, just Yorion?
Okay.
That's all
That's
you got?
good news for me,
Yeah.
right? Because that's usually what you think. Is like, oh, you brought your companion to hand? Well,
Yeah.
goody.
Yeah, that's usually very much a sign of weakness, but it's also just a sign of I don't want to commit my mana until I have a counterspell backup with this Mystical Dispute. So, kind of looks weird from both sides.
Yeah. We're going to see Rattle Chains. Just a little 2-1. But, it's something added to the board, and there is another copy of Brazen Borrower, so that's very good indeed. And we're just going to start bouncing things.
Big draw step. Not only, the option was kind of available to make this play, make sure that Mystical Dispute or Spell Pierce are really the only options for Julian to be able to kind of interact with just 1 blue mana. But it also is just a good sign where if Julian were to go land number 5 next turn and go for Transmogrify with Dispute backup, you got 2 things now to kind of counter it. So Jakub did have that decision. Do I want to just try to get aggressive and be the tempo deck, which, it's in the name, so why not go there? Or play defensive and try to kind of blow out Julian.
Jakub's taking matters into his own hands here with his Rattle Chain, swinging in for 2 points of damage after dismissing that Shark. Julian not interested in fighting over that. But now doesn't have anything to Transmogrify, so has to find a way to get a creature on the battlefield again. Does have the big ol' Yorion, which is a perfect roadblock at this point.
Yeah, that's what I like to call a sad Yorion.
Yeah.
When you got nothing to blink, it's just a creature, no value. That's,
and you hate to see Yorion sad, right?
Exactly, it makes me sad. But Julian deciding to go with Soulseer with Mystical Dispute backup right now and just hope to find an Omen later, find something to, one of the creatures to be able to Transmogrify and just get some more value out of Yorion instead of just jamming it right now.
Yeah, definitely playing patient here from both players. But Jakub deciding whether or not he wants to flash in this Brazen Borrower, and he's going to go for it.
Okay, this is pretty big. Julian might take this time to just be like, okay, dispute that, Soulseer your other creature, leave you with 1 card, and make sure the pressure is off.
Yeah. Yeah, just preserve that life total a little bit. He has that option. What is the worst case scenario draw from Jakub, though, for Julian?
If that play were to be made, if we do destroy both of these, I would say probably an Ascendant Spirit, just something that can get very large pretty quickly. But there's a lot more train wreck situations for Julian if he waits and tries to kill this Rattle Chains or Brazen Borrower when Jakub has mana on tap. If you draw another Rattle Chains and you're able to just hexproof there and counter the spell and get another creature, that's really the train wreck situation of waiting. So we're either going to see the Soul Sphere and Mystical Dispute fired off right now, or it's going to wait for quite a while until there's another opportune time like this. So I think we're going to do it. I would imagine anyways.
Let's do it. The rope burns for Julian Wellman using his timeouts. Brazen Borrower hanging out on the stack, questioning if he can enter or not. Man, this is a big thank you for Julian.
Yes, it is.
He's gonna fire off the Mystical Dispute, so no thank you. Brazen Borrower, and I'll kill your second creature too. And wish you good luck, sir. Okay, Lofty Denial, alright, but we need a flying creature to get that increased taxation going.
Interesting. If we go for Yorion right now, Jakub would have a nice little turn of just playing Brazen Bar and then lawfully denying it. If not, lawfully denial is only a counter unless you pay 1 without a flyer. So.
Or just, you know, bounce him and then
Here we go.
look at him, he's
I
ready.
think he
He's
knows.
like, oh, cool. You got a big bird serpent there? Would you like to meet my Brazen Borrower?
And it is kind of an option here. You could go Petty Theft Yorion and then just play Brazen Borrower. It kind of accomplishes the same thing.
Yeah, you know, it's always feels bad if you can't use the adventure side of your creatures, right?
Yeah. But the one thing it does do is open the door for Julian to top deck a land and go Yorion again. And then if Lawfully Denial gets cast, you could Fire Prophecy. I guess then you can't pay the 1 anyways, so.
Yeah.
That is the play Jakub's going for here, though.
All right. Move through the end step, passing priority. Yorion Sky Noodle, unfortunately nothing to blink, so sad Yorion is going to be a little sadder now that the Petty Theft is on the stack.
And that should give Jakub the information that, well, there's not another dispute.
Now the pressure's back on once more as the 3/1 flyer Brazen Borrower swings in. Down to 12 goes Julian, Fire Prophecy, available to try and kill it. And would be able to pay for it too if you really wanted to make it dead.
So here Julian has a couple options, and that is to play the land, then play Yorion. If Lawfully Denial get aimed at it, you could Fire Prophecy, still can't pay the 1, not the best option, or start with Fire Prophecy and then try to shuffle away or put Rockfall Veil on the bottom to try to find something like an Azika's Chariot, Fable the Mirror Breaker, something like that that would eat up a counter spell and would leave the Bird Serpent in hand for Julian.
Rockfall Veil is going to go bye-bye. Bark Channel Pathway replaces the land. So, again, pressure's off. Julian is just doing his best to preserve his life total at this point, you know. No creature on the board, no token, nothing yet to fire of Transmogrify, but he's doing a good job of depleting the resources in Jakub's hand.
Yeah, he's like, yes, the old pay 1 on turn, 9 or whatever, always feels bad.
That does feel
Always
bad
feels
indeed,
bad.
and Julian felt that. You saw the wins from him, so no big bird.
Big draw step, something like a Zika's Chariot would be ideal.
Let's see, what do we got? Lands, come on.
Zika's Chariot, Fable the Mirror Breaker.
Something.
Shark
It's a 12-turn
Typhoon.
clock. It's a 12-turn clock, Corey.
Tick
Think
tock.
of the children. Oh, hey, Supreme Phantom's a real nice draw.
And I mean, why not play it now? That's going to
Yeah.
be 3 damage coming in, 1 for the Spirit boost, as well as 1 for a Spirit coming into play. And now this is a true clock. This is a 3-turn clock after this. So the pressure's on for Julian, but also there's no counter magic, so any top deck for Julian is live. Big draw step.
Let's go. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Fry's not bad. We can get rid of the Phantom.
Back to a 9-turn clock.
Okay, yes, yeah. Yeah, so can't get rid of that.
Yeah, it is uncounterable as well, so wouldn't really recommend sacking the Mausoleum
No,
Wanderer,
no.
even if it was in range.
Supreme Phantom is going to get a little Kentucky Fried, I think. Kentucky Fried Phantom. Wouldn't recommend eating it.
Okay.
1 star on Yelp. Oh man, this is just rough. This Transmogrify deck, every time I've seen it, it's struggled.
Yeah, really hasn't had the absolute, best draws that we've seen either And wow, Brazen Borrower has to be the best card against this from the mono blue side. Like, not only a good aggressive creature, but also disrupting. So now Brazen Borrower with Mausoleum Wanderer, that is a 2-turn clock, and Julian can't find anything here.
No, this is so rough, and we're just going to see...
Yep,
oh, I fired in now?
Jakub's really upset at himself for not playing the land because he does not want to walk into a mystical dispute. And we know it's not there, but you know that's going through his head, like does not want to walk into those kind of things. Unnecessary. And might not even play it because it's that important, but decides to go for it anyways.
What are we doing if not going for it?
And if this dispute were to hit that there, this would be a moment where he'd look back and be very disappointed. It's going to be down to one draw step here for Julian, or Jakub is going to be moving to that magical 9 wins.
Well, let's see. Do or die time here for Julian Wellman. 2 islands in hand here for Jakub. 1 island in hand now. Julian Wellman needs something. We need a top deck. We need a creature.
Oh!
I mean, it can be a creature. Yeah, it can still activate.
Nope, comes into play tapped, and it's a ground creature.
But we transmogrify it.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. To get Hornet Queen, yeah, what am I thinking?
We don't care what it is so long as it becomes a dude and becomes a bigger dude.
Of course, yes, that was a huge draw. Good call. Yeah, okay, so that is Lair. You need to do it for at least one. Transmogrify, you have 2 mana left over. That's plenty. Hornet Queen's going to be coming down, and this is going to completely change the game.
Da-dum. 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 Bum, 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 bum. We finally get to see.
There it is.
Please fire it off. Yes. Let's go. And you can pay for it? Yes.
Absolutely good.
All right.
The suspense on both players' face, mostly Julian.
Oh, look at Jakub. He's like, oh, darn it. You know what?
Here comes the queen.
Yes. The Hornet Queen cometh, and there are the 1/1s, those little pesky death touchers. They are ready to jump in the way of anything. And now, also with Brazen Borrower, we've seen 3 of them, right? So that's 3 bounce spells just no longer available to Jakub. And this is looking like Julian has turned the corner and he is on his way back into this match.
Absolutely, and now it comes down to the point where what does the game look like? How does Julian close out the game? How many Hornet Queens can you attack with at a given time? And now Jakub just has to think, what does he do to beat all these insects that have Death Touch? And it involves Shacklegeist, just attacking through them. You know, I mean, basically Hornet Queen is a 5-for-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now we're going to start seeing swings. We've got a Supreme Phantom. That does Jack Diddley squat. Sure, it makes your guys bigger, but, you know, Death Touch. A Bee Gone Sting is going to, I don't know, make you swell up real bad and hurt.
Nailed it.
That's, I nailed that. Thank you. I tried my bestest. All right. Hey, look, here's the little mana dork we were talking about, the little 1/1s.
Yep, right on time. I think Julian was there reading. He's like, yeah, the channel side is not that good right now. Do I ever want to actually cast it? And the answer is usually not. But now the one thing about this Hornet Queen plan compared to the Titan of Industry plan is it's not a fast clock.
No.
It is not a fast clock, so if there's going to be any card that is going to let Jakub, you know, come back into this with a couple kind draws off the top, it's going to be, you know, Hornet Queen style game plan. And keeping an eye as well under Julian Wellman's name there in the top left corner, 10 minutes on the clock. You know, that's not a lot.
He needs to hustle.
Needs to do some things.
I mean, at this point, okay, so Curious Obsession is not going to be cast because if nothing attacks, it falls off.
Yes.
So for this...
Big draw. Big draw.
There we go. Okay, all right. Spectral Sailor is one way for Jakub to dig deeper into the deck and just find creatures and just start trading with these Death Touchers. But now, you know what? I actually like Careful Cultivation cast on Hornet Queen because nothing's going to get that big unless it's an Ascendant Spirit.
That's true. That's true. We'll see if there was any Shacklegeist actually left in. Shacklegeist would completely flip this game. Because even if, you know, there's a lot of different Hornet Queens, you could Shacklegeist and tap down 3 of them, and then maybe if you drew some other spirits. But either way, Jakub's game plan right now is going to be a draw card.
Yeah.
I'd like to draw another card. I'll draw another
Could I
card.
have some more cards, please?
Yeah.
And now it's at the point where there's enough mana on both sides that they don't really care. They're just going to start flinging spells and be like, cool, if you have a counter, go for it, text me, but I'm still going to get my card out of this.
You know, Julian, if Julian were to lose this game where he resolved a Hornet Queen into play, you know you just got to think like, okay, what am I going to do? You know? Like, how can I win this matchup? Oh,
I have a question
very
about
heads-up play. Yeah.
The minus.
Yes.
That says it deals damage. No, but it's not the creature doing the damage. So the death touch wouldn't be dealt to the creatures,
no,
right?
it would
but there's
not.
still little enough that it might kill them.
But right now, this Luca does represent another Hornet Queen.
To each opponent.
But
Just looking at his ultimate. Yeah, so that's another Hornet Queen out, so we could like just get to a racing situation here.
Yeah.
I'm just jumping ahead. I'm just like, yeah, what's his ultimate do? But I don't think it's relevant in this position, as we're just going to see creature exiled, no more bounce. There's another Hornet Queen. Double queens on the battlefield now.
And Julian, I want to bring some attention to playing that Beseiju. You know, most of the time you want to keep those utility lands in hand, but had to, I guess we did go up to 5 lands. But yeah, still plays around like Spell Pierce plus Dispute, something like that.
All right, we're drawing another Lofty Denial. It's not the best at this point for Jakub, and he's going to start blocking these creatures.
Yep, and here's
just to slow this clock down.
Exactly. Here's the weird thing, though. The more you block, the more Hornets that come into attack, because you have less attackers that are threatening. So it's almost worth it to actually not be blocking that much. Because then Julian can attack with as many. You know, now that we have 2 Hornet Queens, that does change everything a little bit.
Draw some cards. There's another Supreme Phantom. Lords are great, but not super useful in this situation where you're staring down a swarm of bees. But Supreme Phantom number 2 is going to hit the battlefield here potentially. Decides against it, though.
They do all have flash, so Jakub can just wait and do that later. And now a Scry to try to find something. Maybe a Shark Typhoon, pretty please.
Shark Typhoon. That's another Omen.
Another
That's
great
not bad.
draw.
Keep digging. What do we find? Scry 2, draw a card. Let's see. Get back there.
Terrible.
Were any of the Titans left in? Because that would close the game out. Because there are 3 in the main deck. There's only 2 Hornet Queens.
Julian there with the big head shake there because he went into full control, but looks like went into full control a little late. There's a little trick with the Omen that you like to do when Yorion is already cast is, well, you can...
Scry before the draw.
Scry before the draw, yep. But the draw already resolves, so you cannot scry after you put 2 on the bottom.
In for another 2 points of damage. Jakub down to 16. Plenty of creatures in hand now for him. Has the Rattle Chains, the Supreme Phantom, as well as the second copy of Spectral Sailor, which is going to be putting in so much work now with 8 mana available to him. Yep, look at Julian. He winced at that too. He's like, oh, come on. I have more creatures than you. Ooh, slip at the back. Okay.
Down to 4. Start by drawing some cards. These Lawfully Denials are bad. Curious Obsessions are bad. Slip out the backs can be okay, I guess. Yeah, right now Julian is kind of playing with fire because as good as this Hornet Queen has been at stopping Julian from dying on the spot, they don't pressure very quickly. So while this is a good game plan for that, you really need Shark Typhoons paired with Hornet Queens to finish it off, or Azika's Chariot. And just that, needing that kind of combination just seems like it really seems pretty brutal.
All right, exiling now. Let's see if we can get anything useful here with Luca's lesser used ability, at least in this format. Spectral Sailor is going to draw more cards here. Another land, and we've got a full clutch. Look at this. So many Curious Obsessions. You want to see these early on in the game. They're not doing anything at this point.
Yeah, no kidding. We haven't really seen that absolute perfect draw of 1 drop into Curious Obsession.
No.
And blue still has been looking good, which is really impressive.
Omen Scry, Fire Prophecy. Okay. All right, that's something happening at least.
Yeah, it's something, but it's not going to work out with Slip out the back. This is the perfect counter for this. Yeah, or Rattle Chain.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a card you kind of want to keep, but just because it's kind of like a free draw, you get rid of whatever bad card you have in hand, but kind of not how it worked out here. Luca is up to 6. That magic number is 7 for the ultimate. where each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. That will be
3, 4, 5, 10.
Yeah, 10.
Needs to get more damage through.
Yep, exactly. It's still strong. But
or needs to get a big shark and then ultimate.
That's
uncounterable.
That's the dream. Is, you know, Luca it up next turn, and then top deck shark, cycle it, and then ultimate.
All right, where are these shark typhoons? 4 in the main deck. I'm pretty sure he's got them in there. Come on.
Yep, absolutely. Unless Luca is starting to exile this or something, but it's just crazy. Right now, Jakub is just straight coming back into this game with the power of Spectral Sailor, or as I like to call it, Unbeatable Sailor when it gets into this mode.
What shall we do with the Spectral Sailor, Corey? Find another one and just have 3 of them on the board. Why not? Yeah, and this is all Jakub has to do, you know. He also only has like 8 minutes left, but if he holds out, he's doing fine. He's just fine and dandy. He will get the win there. If Julian times out before him, that's a land, not what we want to see here. Luca gonna go digging a little bit more, but yeah, if we could just get this damage forced through.
Julian has been drawing terribly. And yeah, I think you're right. Right now, Luca is just trying to, at this point, get to above 7.
Yeah.
You know, so you can ultimate and keep it around. But yeah, right now the ultimate just doesn't do anything. Putting you from 16 to 10 isn't great.
And just look at the difference here. The card draw from the Spectral Sailor, a full clutch of cards.
Yeah.
Jakub has everything he possibly needs. You know, he just must deck himself, but he's not going to do that. Another lofty denial. He could just start, like, handing out these Curious Obsessions like candy to his creatures at this point.
Pretty much.
It is Halloween, so, you know, trick or treat.
Absolutely. And I mean, that could become real when some of these Hornet Queens go away. You're able to maybe just get all those sailors to 4 power, so each one of them is lethal. Nothing really of value quite yet for that, but...
My goodness me. Sailors versus bees. Who's going to win here? Both players at 8 minutes. Under 8 minutes.
Jeez, Julian is just drawing bricks after bricks. Just exiling the good cards with Luca and then just drawing lands. This is insane. And of course, Yorion decks run a lot more lands, but it's still in a good ratio compared to the spells. So it's really brutal.
Where are these shark typhoons?
And I think that was a shark that went to exile there right away.
Yeah, Luca doesn't fetch any non-creatures, so this is such rough breaks here for Julian. Absolutely clawed his way back into this, finding that lair, but just now is being stonewalled by Jakub.
The funny thing is, Jakub's hand is just as good as Julian's right now. All of those are bricks.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess if like an Azika's Chariot gets cast from Julian, it's gonna be like, okay, would you like to pay 4? Would you like to pay 4 again? Would you like to pay 3?
Okay, here's the next out. We ultimate Luca.
There we go. There's the shark. So
we got it.
This is not lethal though, because the shark can get slipped out the back.
It can.
Yeah, in response to the ultimate. So this is really nice, and I still think we're going to cycle it and probably go for it. Or we'll see if Julian has the patience to go end step cycle and then hope to find another one and then ultimate.
If he casts it.
Definitely not casting. Absolutely not. Do not cast that because we have so many counter spells. It can actually get countered. But of course, we know Twitch chat's going for it.
I mean, we can dream, right? Oh, goodness me.
Okay, Courier's Briefcase.
He's going for it. With the one. Oh, slip out the back with one useful spell in hand here. Sends it away. Luca will survive, but far less damage dealt. Only down to 6. Oh, my goodness me. Courier Briefcase is in hand, but can't activate the second ability. It's purely there to be a little mana dork.
Now it comes down to how aggressive do you want? Because if Julian were to attack all, you know, you have to block at least 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh, if he attacks all, then he's just dead on the crackback.
Exactly.
So. Oh my goodness, what a game this has been. Spectral Sailor putting in so much work here. That single copy, the only non-brick essentially in hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff there. Oh,
is
we
it
going
time?
for it. Yeah, I think he's just got enough damage at this point.
Yeah, you got enough counter spells, so if you have enough attackers to win this game, you go for it because we have it.
Alrighty, send him into the red zone, turn some dudes sideways. And let's pick up another win here for Jakub Tóth on Mono Blue Spirits. Julian Wellman fought so damn hard to get back into this, but just got slipped out the back there. That shark, big old 10-10. Not gonna get it done, but what a game. And look what it means to Jakub Tóth. Excellent, excellent game there. Unbelievable.
Yeah, some really awesome stuff. And that just really shows just trying to hear the players there. Sorry to interrupt myself. But that really showed me what a bad matchup this must be. And both those Hornet Queens came into play, and Julian still couldn't find the matchup or find the win. That's just really brutal.
Oh man, I bet he was just wishing like, oh, I wish I had kept one of those titans.
Yeah.
Because Luca just had a plethora of little bugs to turn into a big old building, and